Howdy, guys. Welcome to Cliff Notes from Outside the House. We are covering night 13, the overnight feed summary for what's going on inside the Big Brother house. Let's get right into it because there have been a lot of conversations. Now, I talked about last night's summary that the theme was misinformation. Everyone telling all different stories to different people. We've got a new theme tonight, day 13, the word of the night. Maybe it's two words, so we'll call it the phrase of the evening is fact checking. I guess everyone's gotten so many people telling so many different stories that I've heard over and over tonight from so many people. Someone says something and someone says, let me do some fact checking. I'll get back in touch with you. And they then go somewhere else. They ask someone else, hey, did so-and-so really say this? Yes, they did, or no, they didn't. And that's what they're using. So fact checking. If you want to just summarize this evening, it's fact checking. All right, let's get into some of the conversations. Most of these from this evening, one or two from a little earlier, just to kind of back up some information so y'all are aware of what's going on. Meeting or a discussion between Nicole Anthony and Kevin. Nicole is telling Kevin that she is convinced that Janelle and Kaiser set her up. No, but she's convinced of that. And she says she's going to be nice. She's going to play with them because she has to have their votes to survive. So she still thinks that they screwed her over, but she's going to be nice and do what she needs to make sure that she continues to keep their votes. Meanwhile, Ian and Kazar had a very interesting conversation. I'm glad to see these two kind of talking with each other. Ian is talking about that he wants to break up the core four alliance, which consists of Cody, Enzo, Danny, and Nicole Franzel. Now, Ian is also in the final two with Nicole Franzel, so I'm sure he would just soon see her distance from the other in that group so that she's a little bit more loyal to him. But he would certainly like to see that group broken up. And Ian says that Tyler and Cody are the heads of that little coalition, and they are absolute comp beast. Kazar is agreeing with them. Kazar spending some time saying, "Hey, Ian, why weren't you part of that alliance? Why is Nicole Franzel doing her thing and not including you?" And trying to get inside Ian's head. And I guess it works for both of them. They eventually have agreed to an alliance. They're going to work with each other. Now, it's kind of funny because Ian says, look, I want to make it at least to the halfway point in this game, so I'm willing to do a partial alliance with you. I'll work with you so we can both get to the second half of the game, but at that point, the alliance goes away. We'll see what's happening then, but I'll help you if you'll help me get to the second half. I said, yeah. Kaiser said, absolutely. Love to work with you. We'll make it happen. So now there's a little bit of an alliance between Kazar and Ian, which I think includes Janelle by default as well. But had that. So some other conversations. Davon and Bailey talking to each other, talking about David. Says that he told Janelle that if he, who's this? I think Davon's the one that told Bailey this. Says that David told her that he had told Janelle, that if he gets HOH, he's going to go for Memphis. He says, well, what about me? And he says, well, you're guilty by association, but because you're such a legend, I'll give you a week's safety. I'm going to give you a week's pass before I do anything. All right, and maybe not the best sales pitch, the best way to get in tight with someone else, but and so they were kind of laughing about that a little bit. But so basically, David is saying, hey, I don't know for certain what I'll do, but my expectation is I will go back and go after Memphis if I survive in this house. So they talk a little bit about that. Wasn't probably the smartest move. They also, now this was interesting, they're also a little mad because they said David was playing around rather than paying attention during the veto competition, which involved holding a ball and a paddle of some sort. I'd heard earlier that David was yelling and shouting a little bit. Well, now they're thinking that he was just screwing around and not really focused on the competition. And so that had him a little upset. The two of them are thinking about Nicole Anthony had earlier talked to them and basically pitched them, said, look, there's a guys alliance out there. If y'all get rid of all the women, y'all are in trouble. There's the guys alliance. Davon and Bailey really are a little bit worried about that now after hearing Nicole mention that. They're wondering if it exists, and if it does, is David part of it? And if he's a part of it, would he warn them if they were to be targets for nomination? Would he protect them in exchange for them protecting him with the vote this week? They counted the votes, trying to figure out if there's enough to keep Nicole Anthony. Would it be enough for her to stay, or is it a done deal? and they're still trying to figure that out a little bit. I don't think there is, but maybe it'll change. So another conversation between Ian and David, and this kind of just gets back to what David had told Davon. He told Ian the same thing. He expects that he'll try and go after Memphis if he stays. He also told Ian that he had heard Nicole Franzel's name coming up quite a bit during the week, as far as potential backdoors, going after things like that. So there's a little conversation there. Another conversation between Danny and Cody. Danny is upset, and this is kind of a theme. The next few conversations revolve around Davon a little bit. Danny's upset with Davon because she is saying that Danny is saying that Davon lied when she told Danny that Nicole had come to her wanting to join an alliance of Ian, Nicole Anthony, Davon, and Danny. They're both talking, Cody and Danny are talking about that Davon wants to talk to everyone and get everyone's stories and all the information, but that she's getting upset when other people do the same thing. Meanwhile, Davon is now telling Nicole Franzel about everything that Kazar told her last night in the conversation. Kazar had told Davon about a conversation between Janelle and Ian. It didn't go so well. It was a little non-committal, but mentioned all of that. The one thing that came out of that conversation was Ian had said, Nicole Franzel is my number one. Don't touch her. Don't come after her. They told that to Janelle told that to Kazar. Kazar told Davon that, said, please don't say anything about it. Well, Davon immediately went over to Nicole Franzel and told her as well that, hey, Ian is talking. He's saying that you're his number one and everything. After that, Davon was talking to David. And all right, now this is where it gets a little interesting. Lots of people talking, just as you would expect. But pay attention to this one, because this is a key little conversation here. Davon talking to David and discussing her conversation with Kazar the night before, where Kazar had said, David's part of an alliance, and Davon was saying, no, he's not. He's a free agent. He's not. He'll work with us. And so Davon basically eventually says, hey, David, is there a men's alliance? Are you part of it? Or is Kazar just blowing smoke? And David says, oh, yeah, I'm part of it. Yeah, I'm part of it, but you're protected. Don't worry. You're protected. But, yeah, I'm part of a man's alliance. Well, as would be expected, Davon's a little concerned about this information. People just talk more than they need to be talking in this game, right? I did that a few times myself. So they have that conversation. Just right after that conversation, David goes to Bailey and says, hey, you need to talk to Davon because she's doing too much. She's talking too much. And I'm afraid we might find ourselves on the block if people start associating us too closely to one another. Tell her to chill out, basically chill out a little bit because she's just doing too much. And Davon does seem like she's had a lot of conversations with a lot of people this evening, which gets a lot of information for her, but also is starting to put her on some people's radar and getting people concerned with her. So she probably some good advice from David, and maybe she does need to chill out just a little bit. So Bailey and Davon at this point talking about David's admission of Guys Alliance, and now they're thinking back to that veto competition, and they're wondering if this entire week, with David, with Memphis calling him out, with him losing the veto and being so upset, they're wondering if this is all just a big act. That David's been working with these guys the whole time, that he threw the comps because he knows he is safe from that side of the house, that they're going to leave him alone, and he's probably not a target from the other side. This house just breeds paranoia. It's not really that way, I don't think, based on what I've seen. But they're now wondering if David is in that much tighter and throwing stuff and just really feeling very comfortable. So we'll see how that affects the relationship between those three people. David and Tyler talking. David told Tyler that Davon now knows about the Guys Alliance, and that Davon said that Kazar is the one who told her about it originally. So now Tyler thinks or knows that Bailey and Davon are tight with Janelle and Kazar. So he's seeing those four as a potential alliance. So he's getting a little suspicious, again, because Davon's been doing a little bit of talking with different people. All right, another conversation, Janelle and Kazar. Janelle's telling Kazar that David said he'll go after Memphis. they're suggesting, Kazar suggesting to Janelle saying, hey, go tell Memphis that. Let him know. Yeah, he doesn't vote, but if he knows David's going to come after him, maybe he'll put some pressure on some people to keep Nicole Anthony in the house and get rid of David. So they're going to try to do that. Later, Davon comes in and they share the news about David. Davon still's not committing anything. She's saying, let me think on this. Let me just see what I want to do. Christmas comes in after that as well. And Kazar really is pushing hard for an alliance with everyone in the room. But again, Davon is non-committal, but they're pushing for it. All right, so another conversation, Davon and Nicole Franzel. Davon confirms that Janelle is fighting for Nicole Anthony. Oh, I think that's actually Davon and Nicole Anthony. Sorry. Davon confirms that Janelle is fighting for Nicole Anthony. Also, she confirms what Janelle had told Nicole Anthony earlier, that they had formed an alliance of Janelle, Kazar, Bailey, Davon, Christmas, hopefully Ian. But Davon says, look, we talked about it, but I haven't committed to anything yet. Don't think that it's sold, or I'm not telling you that I'm voting for you right now. I'm not to that point yet. But yes, it was discussed. So this is one of those fact check situations. She then tells Nicole Anthony to talk to people and fact check what she has been told and what she's hearing, and just try to confirm some facts. All right. Nicole Anthony is then talking to Bailey. Bailey says that she wants to fact check. She wants to confirm her votes before committing to Nicole's support. In other words, if she thinks there's enough votes to keep Nicole Anthony, she's willing to do it, possibly, supposedly. But she has to make sure the votes are there, and she's not convinced of that yet. So she wants to do a little reality fact checking and find out for sure. Nicole says it'll be great if she gets Janelle and Kazar's votes, but she's still coming after Janelle for what she was put through this week, regardless of whether she gets their votes or not. Oh, I just want to reach out and give her a hug and then have a little discussion with her. All right, Ian and Nicole Franzel. Ian's telling Nicole Franzel not to make noise, that if Janelle and Kazar win HOH, they're going to go after the guys. They will leave Nicole Franzel alone, so she just needs to lay low, don't do anything to get herself on the radar, and play quiet. Probably very good advice. Now, Nicole Franzel says, man, Ian, you could join our group. Why don't you come join our group? At which point Ian says, sounds to me like the group already exists. So that makes me a little nervous. And Ian's a smart guy. He's seeing through that. All right, so one or two more real quick ones. Finally, a new alliance formed. Bailey, Davon, Cody, Danny, Enzo, and Tyler named the Slick Six. Did some kind of pinky swear, and they formed some kind of six with their hands or something. But yet another group of people who they've figured out six is a perfect group at this point in the game to control the game. So a brand new group formed. And finally, very quickly, Nicole Anthony and Nicole Franzel sitting on the hammocks talking to each other like they're the best friends in the world. Talking to each other. They had a very friendly conversation. Nicole Franzel is trying to figure out what's going on with Janelle. Why is she doing all this? What's going on? And Anthony is saying, look, she just wants to split the house, I think. She wants it to be 7-6 vote next Thursday. She wants two sides to be there, two sides taking shots at each other. She wants this clear division between the inside the house. And Nicole Franzel saying, okay, but we used to be friends. So I don't know why she's doing that. Eventually, Nicole Anthony does a little campaigning, says, man, if you will vote to keep me, I'll take your have-nots. I'll promise you safety. I'll go after Janelle and Kazar. I won't touch your group. I'll do whatever you want. Just please keep me. And Nicole Franzel doesn't really commit to anything else. She says, yeah, let's just see what's going on. All right, so a lot of conversation. Again, fact check. That's a theme of the evening. Guys, y'all have a great one. Have a fantastic Tuesday morning. I will be back in 24 hours, SKD 143. Cheers, guys. Night.